So this was not too long after October 7th. PVT here. This account dropped this. On Monday, December 4th, Open Secrets listed Ritchie Torres contributions from pro-Israel lobbies at 342,017. 2 days later, they're at 734,251, with AIPAC contributions totaling 367,994. Torres took nearly $400,000 from pro-Israel lobbies in 2 days. His dumb tweets make sense now. What were those tweets at the time? Not everyone calling for a ceasefire wants Israel to cease to exist, but everyone who wants Israel to cease to exist is calling for a ceasefire. Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Islamic Republic of Iran are all calling for a ceasefire. See, that's how you make money.
Yeah.
The notion that Israel is committing genocide or ethnic cleansing is a blood libel. Ooh, that didn't age well.
Ooh.
It is a dangerous lie intended to incite hatred for Israel as a Jewish state, excepting the Jews who are speaking out. The kind of hatred that has driven extremists to celebrate, call for, or commit violence against Jews. Falsely accusing the historical victims of genocide of committing genocide themselves is as despicable as the accusers. Apparently, Ritchie Torres has never heard the phrase abused become abusers.
Right.
Israel has discovered 40 murdered babies so far. The deplorables who cannot bring themselves to condemn the murder of babies as barbaric are revealing themselves to be nothing short of barbaric. The defenders of baby killers are perpetuating oppression under the guise of liberation and terror under the guise of resistance. Now, of course, all of these claims have fake news labels slapped on them, which we know even more now than we did back then. The 40 beheaded baby story was pure propaganda. So here he is speaking at that ghastly rally that they had back in November 2024 about why he supports the Israeli state.
Now, people often ask me, Ritchie, you're not Jewish, you're black, you're Latino. Why do you speak out so forcefully and frequently against anti-Semitism? And I simply reply, the question is not why have I chosen to speak out? The question is why have others chosen to be silent amid the deadliest day for Jews since the Holocaust? The answer to the question of why I choose to speak out lies in Torah. There's a passage in Torah that appears as an inscription in the Liberty Bell. It reads, "Proclaim liberty throughout all lands unto all inhabitants." The deeper message is that none of us is free until all of us are free. And so I see my freedom as a black Latino from the Bronx as inextricably bound to the freedom of the Jewish people. I see the security of my own nation and home, the United States of America, as inextricably bound to the security of the Jewish homeland. And I'm here to affirm that I am pro-Israel not despite my progressive values, but because of my progressive values. It is progressive to defend Israel's right to defend itself. It is progressive to stand for the U.S.-Israel relationship. It is progressive to demand the release of the hostages who must be brought home.
Okay. Well, I could tell Ritchie Torres as a Jewish person by continuing to prop up this genocidal apartheid terrorist state. You are not protecting me. You are putting me in danger. As we predicted from the beginning, actual anti-Semitism is becoming more normalized by the day as a result of Israel's actions. Israel's actions have created the greatest opportunity for anti-Semites to spread their worldview in modern history, I would say. I don't know what you could even compare it to. All of you've got the spectacle of the self-described Jewish nation committing a genocide and ethnic cleansing while clearly bribing politicians like Ritchie Torres. What more could you do to play to every negative stereotype that actual anti-Semites have been spreading forever, for centuries? You're playing to every anti-Semitic trope by supporting the state of Israel, particularly given the numbers involved in Torres's particular case. Case in point, Torres invested in weapons makers as he backed billions in arms for Israel. This just dropped on Sludge. While urging the White House to speed up bomb deliveries to Israel, Representative Ritchie Torres was also adding defense contractors like Lockheed and Northrop to his portfolio. In the months after Israel's assault on Gaza began, Torres became one of the most outspoken Democrats in Washington, demanding uninterrupted arms shipments, often breaking ranks with his Democratic colleagues. In October 2023, he signed a letter to President Biden opposing calls for de-escalation and urging an increase in weapons transfers. When Biden briefly paused shipments of 2,000-pound bombs in May 2024 out of concern they would be used in attacks on Rafah, Torres lashed out at the decision and even joined Republicans in backing a resolution to override it. Torres also voted for the $17 billion weapons package to Israel that passed Congress in April 2024, and he has consistently opposed Democratic calls for a ceasefire, arguing that any suspension of U.S. military aid would amount to siding with Hamas. After the International Criminal Court issued arrest warrants for Israeli leaders on charges of war crimes and crimes against humanity, Torres responded by voting with Republicans to sanction the court. All the while, Torres's recent financial disclosures show his portfolio was newly invested in the same companies whose products were being shipped to Israel. In a recently filed report, he disclosed stock purchases made in September 2024 in Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, and L3 Harris, three of the largest U.S. weapons companies supplying Israel's military. The trades were not reported until nearly a year later, just like Rick Scott. See, Rick Scott probably gave him the idea. Don't bother. Worst comes to worst, you pay a $200 fine.
Right.
Far past the 45-day deadline required under the 2012 Stock Act. Torres had never previously disclosed owning corporate stocks before these purchases, and he has since amended his 2024 financial disclosure to reflect these holdings and others. The congressman's office tells Sludge the defense contractor stocks were bought by an independent manager and that he will no longer be buying individual corporate stocks. It's funny. That's what Rick Scott said. So Rick Scott said he didn't know anything about these trades. He didn't know anything about it. But cha-ching. Remember back in 2023, what was it? He had gotten a total of 400,000 there. 1,570,275. He is raking in that sweet AIPAC cash. Now, we don't know Ritchie Torres personally. We have no way of knowing this for sure. It just does not seem really likely that a black gay Latino from the South Bronx just naturally has this overwhelming affinity for the state of Israel, for the Zionist project, to the degree that he's almost the Netanyahu of Democrats in Congress. He is just this bloodthirsty maniac for whom nothing is enough. And any attempt to put any limitation on Israel is too much. He recently did an interview, this is going around right now, where he blames Netanyahu for being mean to Obama. He feels that the problem that Israel is having now with Democrats goes back to that, because he feels Netanyahu then made support for Israel partisan. Absolutely nothing about what Israel is actually doing.
Right.
The only reason that anyone has a problem in the Democratic Party with Israel is because they revere Barack Obama so much, and Netanyahu kind of trashed him in front of Congress at the invitation of the Republicans. If he hadn't done that, man, I mean, who knows with the Democrats? He's probably right with some of them. With some of them, it's probably true. But that's the closest he will get to criticizing Israel. Why? Again, we don't know him. You never know. People can be strange. But it looks like it's basically about the Benjamins.
Yeah, it always struck me as entirely transactional. It's one of the reasons I was always particularly repulsed by Torres, and why I was excited when Jose threw his hat in the ring to run against him, which he's doing again this time. But because Torres is a guy who, it's inconceivable to me. I think I said when I spoke at the Jose's fundraiser last year, he must not know or care anything about Israel or even Jewish people. He just knows who pays him. I mean, he supports mass murder for money.
Right.
And it's one thing to support mass murder for money when the dollars are going towards, your campaign and going towards your political future. But then on top of that, to like pad your own portfolio with like defense stocks, as we are sending weapons to Israel, and then urging that we keep sending the 2,000-pound bombs even when Biden suspended the shipments. I mean, you have to be completely psychotic. There's really no other word for it. Just a remorseless psychopath. That's who he is, which is why I always had particular disdain for him. Not that like a guy like Schumer is any better, but with a guy like Schumer, you could see he's probably brainwashed from childhood to be the way he is. Torres, it's just about, here's some money. Would you support genocide for a few $100,000? Yeah, sure. That's what it is. Yeah, that's what it is.
Just make sure the check clears.
Exactly. So just a worthless fucking lowlife. And that is what caught my eye about him from day one. It always seemed way too bizarre that he's so vehemently pro-Israel. I don't buy it. I'm a New Yorker. I don't buy that. I don't buy it. Walk around the South Bronx. There's plenty of people with Ritchie Torres' demographic profile in the South Bronx. You see any Israel flags in the South Bronx? Is that a hotbed of Zionism? No, that's about the money. That's about he's taking money to support genocide, just the lowest form of life on earth.
When we went to the Bronx to petition for Jose, I had a lot of people who didn't want to sign. People don't want to stop and sign stuff. And I found very quickly that the easiest way to get them to do it was to say he was pro-Palestine. And Ritchie Torres was pro-Israel. They go, oh, he's pro-Palestine, and they would sign it.
Yep, exactly.
So who's he representing?
Right, obviously.
Please clap.